and in this case, the body cameras. There's been a lot of focus on the body cameras, but one of the things we wanted to also highlight, because there was some mention earlier about just general evidence management, one of the biggest challenges for public safety and law enforcement in the United States is that we have a multitude of sources today. 10 years ago, we had law enforcement agencies that were just tackling 35 millimeter film, crime scene photography, and maybe some audio recordings that were on a cassette tape. Today, we've got digital evidence coming from all four corners of the world, from Instagram, Twitter, fingerprinting systems, CCTV, ALPR for license plate recognition, and these multitude of systems all operate independently. They're disparate systems, and they don't intercommunicate. They don't synchronize in a way that makes it easy for investigators to pull all that information together and then provide it to the DAs and the prosecutors so they can actually prosecute a crime. And so this is pretty indicative of almost every law enforcement agency in the 21st century. What AXON's really worked hard on for the last pretty much 10 years is how do we pull all that information together and make it one single system so that now investigators can go into one website, evidence.com, find the body-worn video, find the in-car video, find video from the CCTV systems around the county, find video from the jail. Maybe it's recordings from 911, but now it's in one spot, and an investigation that before might have taken days or weeks to compile all that information, now it's in one single place. And so once we have it ingested over maybe 4G or your cable modem at home or wherever it came from, once it's in the actual system itself, how do we manage it? How do we compile it into a singular case? And then once we have that case built, how do we provide analytics? How can we make sure that these are the bad guys? How can we provide facial detection so that we can redact out the faces of children because maybe we have to release that video to the media? Maybe we have an e-discovery request where the defense wants to see this video and we don't want to show the children who are in the back seat. How are we able to compile all that information, and once it is received and built in the system, do we pass it on to the prosecutors, to the defense, in this case, maybe even the media? If the media requests these videos, how do we make sure that we don't have to mail out CDs, mail out flash drives, and it can just be sent the same way you do a Dropbox link or sharing a file from your computer natively with your friends? But the idea here is to show that this is not just a body camera program, it's so much more. It's tying all these technologies together. But it's not to say the body cameras aren't important. So there was some discussion earlier about what the AB3 is, which is what I'm wearing here on my chest. This is the camera system that is being deployed or will be deployed here in Fort Bend County. This is going to be our 5th generation camera. So we've been at this for over a decade, tried and failed multiple times, and we've learned a lot of lessons along the way. Some of the most important things for a body camera, first of all, it has to run for more than an entirety of a shift. We might have deputies that are out there for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. This camera has to work while they're out there. Last year, or excuse me, 2020, we had a lot of unrest where deputies and officers were out in the field sometimes 15, 20 hours. So even though these cameras are designed to run for more than 12 hours at a time, they can be plugged into a battery pack just like your mobile phone, and we can keep this camera going and going and going as needed operationally. These cameras are ruggedized. This is not a consumer device. This is not like your cell phone where we took it and put a nice shell on it and maybe it looks cool because it's got some like cool colors on it, but this is a device that was designed from the ground up specifically for law enforcement. This is designed to be worn in foot chases, in fights, and whatever crazy environment an officer might be or deputy might be working in, whether it's snowing, raining, whatever it might be. The cameras are designed to be incredibly simple to operate. We don't want to make it hard to train deputies, and we don't want to make it so difficult that they can't figure out how to operate the device once they're in the field. Everything is based on this big round button in the middle called the event button. So to start and stop a recording, all you have to do is press this button twice, and to stop a recording, you hold it down for 5 seconds. So there will be loud beeps to let the operator know, is the camera recording or am I turning it off? There's also LEDs on top and on the front if the county decides to use them that will let the deputies know what is the status of my device. So right now, it's in a pre-event state. It is not recording. But if I wanted to start recording, I press this button twice again, 2 auditory tones lets the deputy know, hey, my camera's recording now. And the LED that was flashing green a second ago is now flashing red. There's also a vibration on the camera. So if the deputies want to turn these beeps off for a deputy safety perspective or a constable safety perspective, they can control these tones. Or maybe I'm dealing with a crowd control situation and I want the public to know, hey, you're recording me with your mobile phone? Well, I'm recording you as well. And we have a nice mutual understanding now that everyone's going to be recording this interaction. These beeps will also repeat every 2 minutes. So the deputy is reminded, hey, camera's rolling, stay focused on what's going on. The cameras have security built in. It's pretty common today on our mobile phones, on our laptops, that everything is encrypted. Same thing with the body camera. So if this camera gets lost or stolen during a physical altercation, this information cannot be retrieved unless it is returned to the Fort Bend Sheriff's Office. And then the cameras themselves are designed for quick recharge. So if we have a shift and we need to get back out there after a very short turnaround, like what happened back in 2020, from a completely drained battery, we can get this back in the field in about 3 hours with all the evidence removed from it and the battery ready for action. The cameras do have 4G built in, which is pretty standard now, where we have AT&T and Verizon public safety networks built into the camera. So if we wanted to see situational awareness, what is going on live from the camera out in the field, just like we could do a live stream from our Facebook or our Instagram or any of the other applications that are out there, now from the Real-Time Crime Center, or if the sheriff wants to watch it from his office, if the deputy's camera is recording and the policy allows for it, they will be able to tune in for a critical incident. It will also show location. So in many cases, many sheriff departments and police departments have AVL for tracking vehicles. We can now see that with the actual body camera as well. And this is policy-based. So I know that Fort Bend still hasn't decided if these are going to be things that are going to be activated, but they're capabilities. And maybe 2 years from now they decide to turn it on, maybe they never turn it on, but it is there as a functionality. It was also mentioned before that we have low light capabilities. The camera is tuned to the human eye. So we don't have infrared, we're not going to see what it's like when it's pitch black. But if the deputy requires the additional illumination of the room lights or a flashlight, the camera does as well. We don't want to see and perceive more than they do in a tactical situation. We also have what's called clear frame technology. For those of you who work in the news media, you might know what motion blur is. When a human hand is moving really fast, it's really hard to tell exactly where it is. So if I'm recording someone attacking with a knife, if I freeze that frame, all I'm going to see is a blur. With our technology now, we can go frame by frame, pause that video, and see exactly what happened. And so this is just an example for you of what our low light technology looks like. And I apologize, it's not so great in a bright room, but if we compare the old camera that we provided and the one on the left, we can actually see the bad guy here in the shadows much more easily. If we dim the lights, it would be even more apparent. But I can make out all the graffiti on the wall here. If you guys saw it on my laptop, it would be a lot better. But the idea here is to perceive what the human being perceived. A lot of you might be recording a video indoors and you step outside and then you get that light effect where it just sort of brightens up really quickly. Our technology is designed to move as fast as the human eye. And then when it comes to our clear frame technology, and again, I apologize. Kareen, can you hit the lights, just one of them? Thank you. This is the last line. Yeah. That's why I came prepared. I stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night. So in this video, it doesn't seem that interesting, but it's really important from a forensic perspective, where if you look at a traditional camera like an iPhone or an Android, pausing mid-frame, he's blurry. From the AXON Body 3, I can pause mid-frame and pick out every detail, whether it be a tattoo or a distinguishing mark. This is what you would expect on the left side from almost all technology today. So we have engineered a solution that far exceeds even the standard phones you guys are carrying in your pockets today. Another really useful tool is going to be our multicam technology. When deputies are operating in close proximity to each other for more than 30 seconds, their body cameras will automatically synchronize. For those of you in particular in the media, you probably know sometimes you have to take video from different sources and synchronize it together in Adobe Premiere. It's a really laborious process. Our cameras do this automatically for law enforcement. So if 2 deputies or 2 constables are at the same call, they're wearing body cameras, they have their in-car camera system running, it will actually synchronize them automatically. And then when it uploads on evidence.com, you can just pick which 4 videos you want to watch simultaneously. Trying to make it a little bit easy for everyone. And then the last thing to kind of point out, these cameras are designed for chain of custody. These videos are worthless if we can't prove in a court of law that they haven't been tampered with. So every video has a digital fingerprint associated with it. For engineers like myself, it's called a SHA-2, but it's a standard that's been around for almost 30 years now, where every video gets a digital fingerprint, and as the file is being transferred to evidence.com, we're checking that fingerprint over and over and over again to make sure that there was no hiccup in the internet. Maybe your internet went down for a second, but the idea is that once it's on evidence.com, we make sure we have an exact copy of what was on the body camera, and then we can provide that to the media. We can provide that to defense. When someone says, hey, you edited out the part where your deputy struck my client, we can actually show that this is an exact copy of what was captured in the field. One last thing to point out. These cameras do synchronize with the TASER products as well. So this camera is recording, so I apologize. Hopefully you guys can kind of tell. It's flashing green right now, which means it is not in a recording state. Arming this weapon will actually trigger every body camera, every in-car camera system based on agency policy for 30 feet. So just turning this guy on sends out a Bluetooth signal that automatically will engage, again, every body camera, every in-car camera based on policy for 30 feet for 30 seconds. So if a backup unit shows up 25 seconds later, their cameras will also get activated. This is also integrated into the in-car system that we have up front. So again, based on policy, there's a forward-facing camera, there's a camera for the back seat, and then the deputy's probably gonna wear their body camera. Maybe they put their light bar in the first position, code 1. The policy might be that only the in-car camera system activates. Or maybe they go to the third position, all the way to the right, code 3. And now it says front-facing camera, rearward-facing camera for the person in the back seat, and the body camera all activate instantaneously. And then when the shift is over, where all this evidence is going to go is a website called evidence.com. One second. This is probably the least exciting part of this demonstration, guys. It's hard to make a website exciting, as we discussed before. But evidence.com is a cloud-based digital evidence management system. And the idea here is to make it so that agencies don't have to hunt around for all that information that I mentioned before. Hopefully you guys can see my browser. It doesn't look really awesome on the screen. There we go. But within this website, all the digital evidence will be housed in one place. And like I said, in-car video, body camera video, CCTV video, video from the public. We have a solution called AXON Citizen that was used during quarantine, where instead of officers and deputies having to go to citizens' homes, if you witnessed a crime across the street from you, or you had a Ring doorbell video, you don't have to email it or try and find a way to get it to them, and they don't have to come to you and try and get your phone. You literally would get a link via text message or email, and then you could submit whatever evidence you want to. But it's easy to navigate. We can train someone on how to use the system in about an hour. Any deputy can really figure out the system pretty quickly. It's super intuitive, and we can find a piece of evidence either by the incident number, maybe it's the citation number, maybe I just want to look up traffic stop. And once I've got my traffic stop video selected, right here, no worries. What are you looking for?
The judge's cell phone.
Oh, are you sure it's not my phone? No. Sorry. Isn't that it ringing on the other side of the room? Is it in some of those bags over there on the left? But this is what it looks like from the deputy's perspective for evidence.com. So they'll be able to look for their digital evidence, play it back live. They can do it from their mobile phone. They can do it from their office. But here's just a general traffic stop. Now let's say that we skip a little bit forward, and when this officer is engaged with the driver, let's try and find that part. Maybe it's here? Yeah. You can see there's a child in the seat in the back. So maybe we need to remove that now if we're going to release this video to the media or give this to defense. We have different solutions built into evidence.com, like redaction or transcription. And so if we wanted to redact out that child, we can select Redaction Studio. And within the system natively now, let's get you out of the way, we've used artificial intelligence now to remove faces, license plates, and the computer and the laptop. So we worked with some agencies around the country, and we did some surveys, and the task of redacting videos is extremely costly for law enforcement agencies around the country. You're paying someone sometimes $20, $30 an hour to sit there all day, and all they're doing is tracking a face. And it's extremely boring for them. So with this solution, we asked them, okay, police department, yes, sheriff's department, what do you guys have to redact the most? And the answer was the laptop in the vehicle, because it could have personal information, the license plates that I mentioned, because again, that could be backtraced to where someone lives, and then again, faces. And so by hitting start on all three of these, we've now got artificial intelligence that's going to scrub this video frame by frame and detect all three. So we don't do facial recognition on evidence.com for privacy reasons, but we do facial detection, which means we're not associating these faces to a central database. We're not figuring out if somebody has a warrant. What we're doing is we're making it very easy where I can now shut my browser off, go home, and come in, on Monday, and I can have 100 videos. I can have 1,000 videos pre-redacted for me. I check them once to make sure that the system didn't mess anything, And that's it. But as you watch, and again, it doesn't look super awesome on my browser just because the resolution doesn't match up really well, but you may see these gray boxes starting to pop up now. And all they are the AI detecting different objects in the screen. In a couple of seconds, it'll start picking up the driver. But again, for some departments, this was a 4 to 12-hour effort for 1 hour video. Now, Fort Bend County can do this 1 hour video in probably about 1 to 2 hours. So a massive saving to the county for a full-time employee. Now, if we want to take this same information, and now, while that's running in the background, pull up into the browser. Let's say we've finished redacting this video, and now it's time to share it with local journalists, or share it with defense attorneys, or maybe Federal Department of Justice, whoever it might be. Sharing digital evidence now couldn't be easier. For any of you who have ever used Dropbox or Instagram, all you have to do is find your little video, and on the top right here, we have options like manage access or manage shares. It must look pretty, oh, it looks good up there. And so from this screen now, I can specify bob@aol.com, and then what level of access do I want to give Bob? Do I want to get the ability to see my download? How long do I give them access to the file? So for you in the room who are requesting FOIA requests from the sheriff's office, now these files can be provided to you instantaneously as long as you have a reason to see it. But once you've been added to the system, you'll receive an email notification, and then that file is available to you for as long as the sheriff's department has designated. And all of this, most importantly, is going to be audit trailed. So the system will track every single time that somebody watches a video, every single time that somebody downloads a video, and so on. Unfortunately, it's a necessity of the modern world. But at its core, we care about chain of custody, we care about making sure the evidence is authentic, and making sure that departments don't have to spend time burning CDs anymore. Unfortunately, the storage capacity on our mobile phones today exceeds what departments can put on a disk or on a flash drive. It's expensive and it's hard to share digital evidence. So this makes it an extremely fluid process. Any questions before I shut this all down?
Yeah, can you explain the live stream capability?
Of course. Unfortunately, my colleagues have stolen some of my cameras, so I don't even know where they are anymore. But we have this one right here. The mechanism is that if a camera is up and running, and based on agency policy, obviously not everyone will be able to tie in and tune into these live streams, but on these AXON bodies, you'll notice that the light is flashing red on top, meaning that they are recording. So the deputy knows their camera is up and running. I can now select these cameras, and so you'll notice here that we have the 2 body cameras in my possession here, and then we have the fleet camera, the in-car camera outside. And so I can select this camera right here, select live stream. It will also, if you noticed, list here, the reason the camera is recording is because a CW was armed. I mean, that taser weapon that we had around the room, every time somebody armed that weapon, it actually engaged the recording and it notified a supervisor, hey, this deputy started or armed their weapon. And so now while that stream pulls up, you guys can see yourself on screen live. The deputy will know when someone is tuned to their feed, though. So that beep indicates to the deputy or the constable, hey, someone's watching what you're doing now. And also you'll notice that the LED on top is now flashing purple. So this way the deputy is very aware from a privacy perspective, hey, someone's tuning to your feed. The in-car camera system up front has the same capability as well, where if we tap on it and go to its live feed, we can watch all 3 if we want to. So during the unrest back in 2020, we had major cities around the country who were relying on this technology because all they really had was CCTV, and now they could watch real time what was going on with their people in the field. Were they isolated from the rest of the officers? Did they need backup? Did they need support? Maybe somebody needed medical aid, and they could watch real time and assess the situation. Did that help, sir? Cool. And as I think you guys noticed, it does show their location on the map. Yes, sir. When it's recording. Yes. There is a policy feature now for the camera to transmit its location every 15 minutes instead of when it's just recording, but that's an agency decision. One thing that's also unique here, These cameras are designed to also transmit location indoors. So most body cameras, even cell phones on the market, rely on GPS from satellites, which means you have to be outdoors and get line of sight with the sky. Now we use something called Wi-Fi positioning. So if we're inside a building, it will tell you where the operator is. Sure.
Will each agency be allowed to set their own capabilities, or will it be set by the sheriff?
Each agency will set their own capabilities, but again, that's I think at the sheriff's discretion. There's a section here called under admin where you set your agency's policies. Like, do we want to do high definition 1080p? Do we want to do low definition 480p? When these cameras start recording, they backtrack 30 seconds. It's configurable up to 2 minutes. That's an agency decision. So I think it's going to be up to you guys and the sheriff and what you guys agree to. Sure. Any other questions? Do you guys want to see the in-car system up front that has live streaming LPR? Cool. Sure. Lunch is available in the break room if you didn't hear Sydney. Sure.